Sales are down, prices are under pressure, and yet houses are still moving. Because here's the truth most buyers are missing in January 2026. We are not in one market. Condos has been a buyer market for years. Houses are in a balanced market right now. And that difference is exactly why buyers are frozen. If you're a condo owner thinking about moving up, or you're trying to buy your first house, I've now seen 3 buyers make the exact same mistake. They're trying to time the bottom in a market that doesn't bottom the way they think it does. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why waiting for everything to line up perfectly is how buyers lose leverage without realizing it. Before we get into numbers, let me say this clearly. If you feel anxious right now, that doesn't mean you're bad at real estate. It means you're human. We're coming out of a slow 2025, and when markets slow down, buyers cling to stats for certainty. The problem is, the stats right now are being misread, and that's what's creating paralysis. Also, this video is part of a collaboration with other great realtors and mortgage brokers across Canada and US. Check out the description for the links to all these other great market updates across North America. Okay, this is the first big thing we need to clear up. People keep saying it's a buyer's market, but what is a buyer's market? Because condos and houses are not behaving the same way. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, so this is months of inventory for condo and condo townhouses. When month of inventory is 4 months, it's a balanced market. Higher than 4 months, buyer's market. Lower than 4 months, seller's market. The more extreme the number, meaning the more high it is, the stronger a buyer's market, and the lower the number it is, it's a stronger seller's market. This is month of inventory back from 2022. So this is at the height of the market until it is now. You can see that anything past this bar right here has been a buyer's market. So from mid 2024 till now, it's been a strong buyer's market. You can see right here. And this is why condo owners feel stuck. They've been at this for almost 2 years. And it's exhausting because they probably feel like they can't move. And months of inventory has been increasing as well. And the interesting thing is that buyers have always had options for condos. But in every buyer's market, a lot of buyers don't buy because they feel scared. But that is when they have the most leverage and opportunities. So right now, you can see this is the month of inventory for freehold homes, for detached, semi-detached row houses. And you can see right now, back in 2022, it was a strong seller's market because it's well under 4. And it's been trending upwards for the last little while. And it's been averaging about the buyer's market, it's been averaging about a balanced market for the last couple of months, last few months. You can see before midway through 2025, we're still in a seller's market, sort of, but very close to balance. Essentially, now we're in a buyer's market for January, but we'll see how long that lasts. Sometimes it's just a blip. So what this means is that supply and demand are closer to each other. Sellers still have expectations, but buyers are no longer powerless when they're buying in this category. And this gap right here is where confusion starts, because buyers are trying to make one decision for 2 different markets. And here's what buyers do next. They zoom out, they look at all the homes, they look at all home numbers, and they think they're getting clarity, but instead they're getting noise because condos and houses are being lumped together. And that it is, and it's always been lumped together for stats wise, because when the news or headlines are talking about the market, they're lumping everything together. So it creates a blur of the truth. And you find this video helpful, subscribe for more just like this. So now I'm showing you all properties, condos, townhouses, detached homes, all rolled into one stat. And this is how the news usually talks about stats and what type of market we're in. So you can see right here, we lump everything together. For months of inventory, it's actually 7 months. That's a crazy strong buyer's market. But this includes all the different types of properties. So when buyers hear, hey, 7 months of inventory, houses must be in a buyer's market too. They're not. The stat is true. The stat is true, but it's incomplete. And this is where buyers make the mistake. They assume if everything is a buyer's market, I should wait for prices to fall more. But houses don't behave like condos. Houses don't bottom the same way. They don't linger the same way. They don't give the same signal. If you wait for houses to feel like condos, then you're already too late. And if you own a condo, this is where the misunderstanding really hurts. Condo owners are telling themselves, I'll move up once my condo recovers. But that assumes both markets need to improve at once. They don't. Move up buyers don't win on appreciation. They win on relative positioning. I'll explain what that means. If condos are weak but stable and houses are balanced but negotiable, that spread can still work in your favor, but only while sellers of houses are flexible, though. That's the only thing. And for them to be flexible, they have to be in a balance or a buyer's market. Balanced market don't stay flexible forever. That's the other thing. So these are buyer opportunities for move up people. If you stop trying to time the bottom, here's what to watch instead. So the stats I would keep an eye on would be, first of all, average days on market. This shows you how long properties are sitting for. The higher the number, the more leverage you have. So in Toronto, if you're looking at, let's say, detached and semi-detached homes in Toronto, you can see that the average days on market is sitting about 37. It's getting up there. It's not horrific, but you can see there have been times where it's been 2 weeks. That was during the spring market of 2 years ago. And then same thing with the spring market back in 2025. It was very low again, because that means a lot more buyers were out during that time. So that's one thing to look at. The next I'll keep an eye on is usually the months of inventory that I showed you earlier. Months of inventory shows us what type of market we're in. If it's buyer's market, seller's market, balanced market. And this is a good indication of the speed of the market. So I'll use months of inventory as another stat. You keep an eye on that. The more it goes up, the more leverage you have for purchasing. The more it goes up when you're selling, the less leverage you have as selling. So watch these stats. Those are the ones that are going to give you the most information about what's happening with the market. As you see right now, the numbers of sales in January has been much slower than the year before. Average price has dropped as well. So you can see the number of sales, we're dropped about almost 20% in activity. That's significant. But the good news is that new listings is down as well. Active listings are much higher, so that means that the current stock, what's sitting on the market right now. But average prices as a whole, year over year, were dropped about 6%. So average days on market, we're looking at about 1 to 2 months. Long time for Toronto. The other thing is, remember all these stats right now, like I said earlier, they're all lumped together. Let's break them up a little bit and see what's happening. When we're looking at, as a whole, detached homes as a whole have come down in price about 7%, semi-detached, and also townhouses as well. So all the property types have come down in price from 7 to 9% on average. Condos are down almost 10% from a year ago. So you can see that prices are still dropping a little bit compared to where they were a year ago. And the other thing that's causing this is inactivity right now from a lot of buyers. You can see all the sales activity right here. They're all down. Everything's like condos are down about 25%, townhomes 23%, semi-detached, detached are down significant numbers. So as of right now, we see the market is off to a very slow start. But the interesting thing is that I have a feeling that this is not going to last for a long time. This might be the quiet before the storm, in my opinion. Just based on activity I've been seeing in a lot of my listings, seeing a lot of pre-approvals from a lot of my mortgage brokers. And those are usually indication of activity going to be coming up in spring. So stat-wise, just reiterate, we're slower than last year. We're down about 10% compared to prices. So off to a good start for buyers. For sellers, not so much at the moment. But again, if you're buying and selling, that's a totally different story. So here's the warning. Balanced markets are very deceptive. They don't feel urgent. They don't feel scary. They don't feel like opportunity. But they're exactly where leverage exists before competition returns. If we wait for houses to become a clear seller's market again, you won't be debating things. You'll be competing. And now you're going to have FOMO because you're going to have no time to think. There's a lot of pressure, and you have to make quick decisions. January 2026, it's not about guessing where prices go next. It's about understanding. And it's also a little sign about what's going to happen in the next little while and tells you what market you're actually in. Condos are buyer controlled. Houses are balanced and negotiable. That's the main word, negotiable. And most buyers are solving the wrong problem. They're trying to time a bottom instead of using leverage that always exists. Now you know which stats to keep an eye on.